find it helpful to do rehearsal pieces at a much smaller scale before I work on larger commission work. And so this is one of those pieces. I'll talk you through some of my process. So to start off, I always swatch out some colors just so that I can explore how they mix. And this is the palette I came up with, which I'll include in the description. And my goal here is just to use the reference photo to capture some palm trees and skies, which are two areas that I want to master before I go into my commission. So in this one, I'm trying to experiment with the clouds, working them into the wash. And I'm noticing that I need a lot more water to do that. So I kind of started off on the wrong foot. I've also struggled lately with having yellow areas of the sky mix with the blue and turn green. So I'm trying to explore at the bottom here, making sure that that doesn't happen. On a positive side, I did learn a lot from this piece, just what works and what didn't. And I realized, like I already knew ahead of time, you can't fuss with skies. You need to go in with a wet wash and just leave it and don't touch it. I was okay here at this point, and when I added the yellow, I was even okay. And then, as you'll see, I go in and I add more pigment, and I try to be too literal to the reference photo. So those are all mistakes I learned or have relearned, and I will continue to try to work it. There are a lot of positives, one of which was the color palette. I do feel like this combination of colors worked really well and represented the reference photo accurately. So I was happy with how my palm trees come out. I'm careful to add some washy color in just a mass and then go in and pull out those sharp lines. And I think that gives the best impression of the palm tree, still feeling very painterly without looking too literal. And then I'm exploring in this, mixing blends within the silhouette. So I'm using a combination of the Moonglow, and then I'm using Bloodstone Genuine. And they're very close in hue, but I do think it gives a nice element. And you could push it a little farther if you wanted and put a random color, and I think you would get a nice effect. So I might do some more exploration of that before I do my commission piece. But here you can just see kind of a washy wash, and then I go in and I pull out those sharp lines, which I think works well. I feel like this is more of a sketch, and I'm not worried about how smooth my trunks are. I'm really just trying to show the direction and see how the colors blend. So don't pay too much attention to that. It really was just a means to an end. You can tell here I go in with a layer on top with that Bloodstone Genuine, and that's making a nice shadow combination along with the Moonglow. So that was another success that I discovered as I was painting. So just more of the same here with this next palm tree. There's not too much variation, really. It's once I was set on this style for the tree, I just had to repeat it. Here's where I'm really loving that combination of the Moonglow with the sepia. It's definitely shadowy and kind of moody, which I was definitely going for. So I'm just adding another layer. I'm trying to just give it some texture without a lot of information since it's so dark at this time of night in the photo. And I'm just blending those two so I get those beautiful watercolor blends, which, as you know, I love. And then, as always, I'm interacting with my border tape so that there's some interest when I remove it. Now in this area, I definitely didn't want to get carried away with detail. It's an element that is way in the background, so I just want to imply that there's a pier back there and give those this section some direction so that you know there's something interesting going on. I just vary the colors here to show a little dimension and a little more depth, so I'm just toggling between that sepia and the Moonglow and the Bloodstone Genuine, which are kind of my neutrals within this palette. This is the step where I start to overwork the sky and be way too literal with the photograph. I would have been better off if I just kind of left the sky as it was, but I was trying to get in a little more accurate coloration and cloud formation, and I don't think it was as successful as it could have been. So as always, as I near the end of the painting, I just look around and see what needs more details, where do I need the darkest darks, and obviously my tree trunks needed a little attention here, so I'm just smoothing them out to add a little more polish. This first tree felt a little sparse, so I'm just going in with that layer, which I already added to the other ones of that Bloodstone Genuine for, again, that more depth. Here I add a little of the French ultramarine into the trees to kind of emphasize that twilight period. And this is just my artistic interpretation. It's not something I saw in the reference photo. And I'm doing the same with a little bit of the Rose of Ultramarine to add a little bit of purple in the sky and again down in the foreground. So that's a wrap on this one. I hope you enjoyed seeing my process and you learned something from it. Please let me know in the comments if you also like to do practice paintings. I'd be curious. Thanks again for joining me today. I hope I'm helpful in showing you some of the areas I struggle with.